All right, so we are live. We're here with another Infinite Layers. Today I'm joined by Chris from Ava Protocol. And before we dive into what Ava Protocol is, Chris, do you want to give us a quick introduction to yourself and then maybe talk about Ava before we dive into the presentation?
Sure, Nader. Thank you for having me today. It is a great day for a podcast, especially with the crypto market bouncing back.
It is. It's a very cool, interesting time to be talking live about all of this. I'm glad the election's over, regardless of who I cared to win. It's just great to have all that just done and over with, and not drawn out like we've seen in the past. So yeah, so now we have another 4 years that we can not have to worry about politics, which is great.
Exactly. Exactly. Cool. I'd like to start with a quick overview of my personal background. After graduate school at University of Illinois, I began my software engineering career at Microsoft. I quickly moved up, receiving 3 promotions in a row, especially eventually leading the API team for the Exchange Business Suite. Despite all these, I felt an entrepreneurial pull that I couldn't ignore. So back in 2017, I made the decision to leave Microsoft and start building on Ethereum. Since then, I've developed a variety of smart contracts from arbitrage trading to oracles, and then gas stations. 3 years ago, I founded the Ava Protocol, where we are dedicated to creating solutions for the vertical scaling of Web3. So what does that all mean? What is vertical scaling? So basically, 90% of the improvements we're doing to Web3 today are horizontal scaling, meaning lower gas fees, faster transactions, more transactions, right? So our approach is different. Instead of a horizontal scaling, we want vertical scaling, meaning that the transactions can be more powerful without any coding. Regular Web3 user they can schedule transactions, they can automate their smart contracts without any coding, without any manual scripts, private key delegation, AWS server, all those jargon. So yeah, basically that's what we want to do.
Okay, awesome. And how long have you been working on Ava?
It's been 3 years. We started in the very end of 2021. So it's been a wild ride. The technology iterate like through multiple versions, but today's version is that we're revolutionizing smart contract automation through account abstraction, EigenLayer AVS, and a proprietary event-driven execution model. Basically, it's a developer-centric solution for all types of Web3 applications built by developers for developers. And specifically, we're enhancing dApps with scheduled payments, stop-loss trading orders, streaming NFT rewards, and more. With this technology, Web3 users can easily schedule and automate functions across multiple blockchains, including Ethereum, ensuring efficient and reliable execution without compromising security.
Okay, that's all amazing. I have a bunch of questions, but before I dive into those questions, let's jump into maybe this quick introduction to Ava, and I'm going to start it over. Is that okay if I go ahead and start this? Okay, cool. Let's dive into this, and we'll dive into some Q&A.
Welcome to Ava Protocol, advancing Web3 with private autonomous super transactions that put you fully in control. Got a goal in mind? Just tell our intuitive automation copilot what you want and let it take care of the rest. One click unlocks endless possibilities. Our intent-based architecture executes your goals efficiently, reliably, and securely. Event-driven execution initiates transactions in real time based on triggers, conditions, or branching paths that you set. Ava Protocol's no-code interface makes blockchain automation easy. Just drag, drop, and automate. Keep full control of your assets and keys. No deposits required. Deploy across multiple blockchains in one click. Keep transactions safe and private with built-in protection against front-running and other MEV attacks. shift transaction execution to Ava Protocol, and cut DevOps costs by up to 70%. Future-proof your Web3 projects with modular automation architecture, optimized for third-party integrations and long-term scalability. Ready to take automation to the next level? Join us at avaprotocol.org and start automating today.
Okay. Amazing. Okay. I would just go ahead and just say, it looks like that you all have, I've been on the website and I've played around with it a little bit already. The design and the UX feels pretty good. And I think it was kind of displayed a little bit in that video. So to kind of dive in, what would be the top 2 or 3 use cases that people are currently not only using, but excited to use Ava Protocol, like right now, but also in the near future?
The top use cases will be very simple. Like when you receive money on chain, you get notification. So that's basically Web3 actions to Web2 notification. But what's more powerful is that when, let's say, when TVL surpasses a liquidity pool, the TVL of a liquidity pool surpasses a certain amount, you can do something. For example, you can deposit your asset into the TVL because now you feel safe. It's like creating a limit order on a swap pool. But today we're already generating revenue. Our use cases are actually a little bit more complex because I acquired the customer through developer relationships. We are helping developers to streamline their DevOps. I'll show a little later in my slides about the complexity of the flow, but basically we're helping a borrow lend loan protocol for streamlining their DevOps, and we're helping trading teams, DEX trading teams, to help their market making.
So it sounds something like Zapier. Would that be a good comparison?
It would be a good one, but Zapier, it doesn't serve Web3, right? So we're
right.
like dedicated specifically helping Web3.
This is kind of like a Web3 or a blockchain Zapier.
Exactly.
Awesome. And when you say so when I think of Zapier, I do think of technical and non-technical people. So the non-technical people might be just Slack users, right? And you want to have a notification when an email comes to like an info account, or you want a Notion table populated when someone submits a form from Airtable, that cross integration. So that's the user-focused side of that. And then you have the developer-focused side of that, who might build an application that receives a webhook and does some automation or some action. Is Ava similar in that sense, where you have users that are just going in that are maybe non-technical, able to set these things up, but you also have the APIs for developers to integrate these sorts of things?
Yeah, as you said, it's a complex solution, right? Like to serve 2 different user segmentation. We have been thinking hard about this, and our solution is that to providing easy to use templates for regular users. For example, if you just want to, let's say Nader is great at trading, and you just want to adopt the trading strategy of Nader, you would just copy trade Nader's solution, right? So we would just give you a template to tell you, okay, what is the wallet address that you want the copy trade for? Then you put Nader's wallet address in that, and then you can start the copy trading. So basically, it's like a Lego blocks, like building blocks. If you're a developer, we give you the basic element, the blocks that you can customize your solution. But if you're a regular trader, you want to just one click do something, we give you a built Lego toy that you can play around with.
Okay, incredible. I like that analogy a lot. I like the Zapier and I like the Lego analogy a lot. So I guess when it comes to the types of actions that can be taken for maybe people that are non-technical, would they be able to trigger something to happen on chain? For instance, if I'm listening for a certain trader's action, and then I have an event, and then I want to actually execute a trade on my end, is that something that's possible for a non-technical person, or does the developer need to be the one to actually build that type of integration?
Yeah, the power, exactly. That is possible. do you mind me showing one page of the slides?
Yeah, that would be great.
It would be a little easier to explain with all the visuals. So I'm gonna just skip the introduction. Basically, we're looking at this page. Basically, what you have mentioned is the power of smart wallet. So people, or we can call it account abstraction, which is this part. People have been talking about account abstraction for a long time, but I would say the real power of the smart wallet has not been realized, because this is one use case of the powerful functionality. For example, it allows a dual control model. Basically, the users own the smart wallet, but we have the granular access control that they set the granular access control that allows Ava Protocol to trigger something to act on their behalf.
So for the actual integration of something like that, would it what does that actually look like for the connection of the wallet in terms of security, I guess? And I see that you have like the smart wallet integration here. Is it essentially like the user essentially like signs a transaction that then gives this application the authority to take other actions on behalf of that user?
Yes, the user set up two things. First is the scope, or we can call that permissions. For example, you can say, I allow Ava Protocol to act on my behalf against these smart contract wallet addresses. Or Ava Protocol, it's like a proof call, but a much more granular control.
Okay, got it. That's awesome. And I like the analogy of permissions, because that's really kind of what it is. And it also resonates with me a lot with building out these type of OAuth permissions or OAuth scopes, where someone authenticates and then you're like, okay, they can perform this, that, or the other action. But with this, it's a little more, high stakes, I guess, because you're now dealing with financial things.
Yeah,
But
the final product is what you mentioned, the smart wallet user interface. It's launching in 3 to 4 weeks. So if listeners could give us a follow on Twitter, we'll announce the product launch very soon. And then you can play around with it. Basically, one EOA wallet, your MetaMask wallet, or even Coinbase wallet, can create as many as smart wallet as possible. And you can use each smart wallet to control one action, one scheduled payment.
Got it. Okay, that makes sense. So in terms of building out this product, how complicated has it been to actually build out the functionality, but also build out like a good user interface on top of it? And let me kind of go off on a tangent for a moment. When we hear a lot of people complain about the current state of the blockchain ecosystem or the current state of things, it's often this discussion that pits applications against infrastructure founders. But to me, the true unlock is when you build an application that relies on a unique piece of infrastructure, and those two things put together actually bring you a differentiating product to market. And I think that what you all have here is essentially an example of that. Another example of that is Warpcast with Farcaster. Another example of that is Polymarket. These are not applications that could have been built without the underlying infrastructure being there.
Yeah, I mean, that's why the power of EigenLayer lies underneath our application. So EigenLayer possibly can serve all the EVM chains right now, and maybe in future other the chains with the different infrastructures. So to us, we are highly scalable. So whenever EigenLayer serves a new chain, we can get on there directly, like quickly. So I need to mention, so you mentioned how complex is the technology. Basically, this is a very high level overview of our tech stack. At the bottom is EigenLayer AVS. We can call it the backend, right? EigenLayer handles all the monitoring and triggering of the user's tasks. And then we have this SDK. Right now it's just JavaScript and TypeScript to help developers to interact with the backend. That's regular. Then the last part the missing piece that we're building right now is the studio, the user interface that we saw in the YouTube video that allow users to drag and drop. So basically, the
amazing.
SDK and AVS are working. Like if you're a developer, you can actually start creating automations, but the studio will be much more powerful. Anybody can use a user interface.
Okay, that helps a lot. So, in your mind, do you feel that the majority of your usage is going to be coming from the developer side or from the actual like application side?
Because we're developers, so we would start targeting developers in the very beginning, and it will be a little like a SaaS model. Developers need more complex functionalities, right? We would have this monthly subscription, asking them to pay for a fee so we can maintain their DevOps, help them monitoring. Actually, we'll start from the hard side, and the developers can build applications. For example, we have this idea with the recurring payment portal. Exactly look exactly the same as Stripe. So basically, if you say you have a native website and you want to get a payment, what you do is that you put one line of code in your website, and when user click on that, they go to a page of Stripe, and then they fill in their credit card, they pay for it. In our case, any developer can come in and using our scheduled payment to build a similar page. And then other Web3 users can subscribe to the Web3 asset payment.
Got it. That makes sense. I think that the analogies where we're kind of comparing existing products that people are familiar with have been helpful for me. And I think that it's something to consider when you're trying to give like that TLDR or that just quick that quick pitch. So moving on, I guess, when it comes to the whole AVS and EigenLayer part of this, if you wanted to give, well, let's maybe just chat a little bit about the experience that you've had building an AVS, because I think a lot of people are interested in just learning more about that whole experience, but also the breadth of use cases has just been so broad that it's interesting to kind of dive into these more specific use cases like what you all are doing. So when you decided to build the verification layer part of this as an AVS, when did you do that, and how is that that decision made, and how has that process been?
I think so. I'm a big fan of Ethereum mainnet because all my assets are in the mainnet. I think when I saw the EigenLayer approach, maybe the end of last year, I was like, this is the future, because the merge mining concept is not new, but EigenLayer has been executing it so well that basically catering this message or this concept to the entire Web3 world, and people start to accepting this concept. It works, and basically we already approved that it works. The idea behind this is that EigenLayer scale Ethereum, right? Like your assets are on Ethereum. If EigenLayer can allow you to pay less gas and to have more powerful transactions like Ava Protocol, then your asset can stay here. You don't have to have this fragmentation of your liquidity across multiple chains, and everything you do with a single interface is on Ethereum. That's the future, right? That's the goal of the premises of Ethereum, right? So when we saw that, we were like, this is a killer, and we want to help achieve that. Now we have seen, we got, like, even Ava Protocol alone, we got a $2.5 billion worth ETH backing, like restaked ETH backing through the EigenLayer operators. That's how much interest we have got. That's on the supply side. So right now our goal is to create the demand, right? The more people use the automation, the more fees they will pay, and we share the revenue with the operators, and creating demand on the service side to bridge the gap between the supply and the demand.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, that is similar story, I would say, to a lot of the teams that we've talked to. But when it comes to the actual implementation and working on the product itself, how has that experience been? And do you have any suggestions or advice maybe for people that are watching that are considering building their own AVS and maybe building their own company?
Oh yes, getting back to your question. Sorry, I got a little sidetracked.
No, it's very helpful. I mean, all of this is very helpful, actually.
We built the AVS back in June. Well, we started in March, and after 3.5 months, we built the first version of the AVS backend, and we're still improving that. So a recent initiative from the EigenLayer team is to securing the operators and streamlining the setup process. So and our team, our developers, is helping testing those. I think those are great initiatives, especially helping operators fulfilling their requirement to make running operators much easier. And some other initiative. Well, one challenge we had was that because it's an early stage, we didn't have a very good shared infrastructure for us to bootstrap it. As you can see, it took us 3.5 months build the AVS backend, and that was built on top of whatever we have built in the past 3 years. So the proprietary event-driven execution logic. So we already have a tons of code, and then we build like the entire AVS backend from ground up. So I would say if we had, multiple teams are building the infrastructure, we just need to pick a winner. But let's say half a years later, the infra is very mature. I would say it will reduce the development cost by probably 70% and just launch faster for the new AVS teams, which is a great benefits for them.
Okay, amazing. Yeah, that's all I think extremely helpful advice and context and just understanding like how the decisions were made and the trade-offs and value prop and things like that coming, from an actual founder. So
another challenge is the rewards. We actually have been actively working on this. For example, big questions: should AVS / operators? We decided not to / operators ETH. And if operators decide to use our AP token for restaking, they earn actual rewards, but we can slash their AP token. So that's our conclusion. But we are very keen in seeing more templates, or let's say better mechanism of rewarding to be created within the ecosystem. And this kind of thing sounds like there's a holy grail solution, right, for everybody. Maybe for everybody, but for 90% of the use case.
Yeah, it's still extremely early, I think, for a lot of those, I would say, best practices to be fleshed out, and for more experimentation to happen, and for just time to go by and just see what works and see what doesn't work, and the game theory, and that's how all that's going to play out. It's going to be super interesting to kind of see. But yeah, it's super early. So I think a lot of those questions don't have a definitive answer, and a lot of teams are kind of experimenting with different solutions.
Yeah, we're just running experiments in the very beginning. That's how things should be built, right? Like for all the new chains, there are still new chains coming up, but those are all great experiments. Without trying those, we can't say, what's the best solution for crypto.
So in terms of network support, I'm getting back into the product a little bit real quick. You were mentioning, and you actually showed a slide, I think, with some of the network support. But what networks are currently supported, and are they mainly right now just EVM networks?
Just EVM networks. We support Ethereum, base chain, and the Sonium, the upcoming new chain, because we have a great relationship with the developers of Sonium.
Oh, that's the Sony chain? Yeah. Oh, nice. Okay, awesome. So like a consumer type of chain, and then Base, everyone knows Base. So yeah, that seems to be some good choices so far.
Thank you. When they are putting a lot, basically all the new chains, they are putting a lot of effort in acquiring developers. And that's what we want to see. We participated in their incubation program for developers. They had, I think they had 1,700 developer team participating in the program, and they selected 40 of them. And now we're selling our solutions to the 40 winners.
Wow. That's awesome. I mean, to me, this is like the perfect product to integrate, to build out like differentiating solutions if you're building a DApp. Um, and if it's, and I haven't actually built anything with it, but if the API is developer friendly, then it would just open up a lot of surface area for experimentation and for like a design space. And so it seems like a perfect product for hackathons and for those sorts of teams, for them to kind of quickly build out prototypes or just rapid prototyping, right? But I think early on, go to market might be okay. Let's hit up a bunch of hackathons, get people to kind of feel like they understand the product really well, build out products, see what sticks, and then go from there. So yeah, I'm kind of curious, what is your plan over the next 6 to 12 months for adoption on the developer side?
We'll just sell to developers. I already have a lot of relationships with the crypto teams, but we want to tackle big partners. You mentioned the hackathon. I know you didn't make it to the permissionless 3, but I was there. I met Sriram, the founder of EigenLayer there, and we hosted a hackathon. And the compound team, the compound finance team, participated in our hackathon, built something really cool,
cool.
within a day. That's surprising. Awesome. Yeah, but these big partnerships are what we want to see, because they have a lot of usage, they have a lot of users. For example, one product I personally really want to build is for ENS. So basically, when a domain on ENS expires, there's a 4 weeks grace period for the domain past owners to reclaim it. And there's a domain name called luna.eth, because Luna is my wife's name, that I really wanted. I had to check every day to see, okay, well, what's the current price of the domain? And there's just one day I forgot to check it, and the owner reclaimed the domain back to his ownership. So I think if we can do automation, I would just set up a limit price. For example, like 1 ETH, I would get this domain. Then set and forget. Then I can acquire the domain with the automation. That would be really cool.
That's cool. I like these more specific use cases. And something that comes to mind for me is like AI agents with just the explosion of experimentation there. This just seems to be a perfect fit for that as well. So you have an agent that takes an action based on an action. So like you're listening for one of these actions, and then the agent just starts doing work based on something, right?
Yeah, then will be AI agents trading against each other all the time.
So, and I think I saw some AI stuff in your user interface. So, like, if you type in some type of request, does your product turn that into an actual like request based on some type of AI inference?
Yeah, exactly. We leverage the large language model with in-context training to allow the AI to understand how to transform your human readable language to our basically SDK, because it's like a little programmer driven oriented syntax. So basically converting one syntax to another.
Okay, awesome. So I feel like I understand Ava extremely well now after talking to you, and I feel like I'm excited to go build something with it.
Cool. Yeah. As you mentioned, for the next 6 months, the MEV protection feature we haven't added yet. So that will be our big focus. For example, we know that MEV has extracted so much value in the past 3 years, and if you have a profit-driven strategy, you would want to prevent your transactions get MEV attacked. So we provide those protection. I know some team in the EigenLayer ecosystem, like a Puffer, is doing something like talking to ETH validator directly in order to provide those services. So I think we already started talking with them. I think it's a great synergy to work with other AVSs to bring those new functionality directly into our AVS, because we share the servers operators.
Amazing. This has been really, really great. I think me and you, we need to collaborate on more stuff going forward, especially once you all have that that UI launch. We should do some hackathons and stuff.
EigenLayer hackathon.
Yeah.
When Eigenthon.
That sounds good. Let's plan that for sure. So thank you so much for your time today and for putting together all this great material for your presentation. The next steps for someone watching that's a developer or user, what should they do to maybe get started with Ava, I guess?
I would say join our Discord. We have a feature request and a bug bounty dashboard channels on Discord. If you're a developer, feel free to ask any questions. We can show you the code example of our SDK. And as I mentioned, the studio, the visualization will launch in 4 weeks. So when that launches, you can drag and drop, create your own strategy or DevOps.
Awesome. Okay, well, this has been another really great discussion on infinite layers. Thanks everyone for stopping by. If you missed this discussion, it's going to be up on our YouTube, and we're going to also be providing a lot of links for some of the things that were discussed here. So we'll be back after DevCon with a couple of new infinite layers in about 2 weeks. So until then, I hope you all have a great rest of the next week or so.